Okay, so let's start from the very beginning and talk about the story of the Medical Sciences ePortfolio at UNSW Australia. So the projects originally started around 2012, and there was 3 small projects that started at the same time, and they were really focused on a course approach to using ePortfolio, specifically in third-year medical science courses. And we also trialled it in a first-year science course offered to medical science students. So from that time we've progressed a long way in that we started with a course approach, and then we went into a program-wide approach, and now we've gone across discipline. So we focused on the third-year courses and worked our way through trying to understand how to implement ePortfolio in a cross-disciplinary manner for the purposes of reflective practice. We did this because we wanted to focus on one of the graduate attributes which we try and develop at UNSW, in particular teamwork. So teamwork is often a place where students struggle, and they can't see how they're struggling actually as team members. So when we ask students to reflect on that behaviour and their role in the team, we found some pretty amazing outcomes in that students started to see their strengths and their weaknesses and how they could probably modify in future courses that use teamwork based activities, assessment activities. So the way we started ePortfolio use was to pin the ePortfolio to an assessment task and marry it very closely in that the assessment would normally run as it would throughout the semester, whether it was a written piece or a teamwork-based piece or examination based on just quiz-style formats. We then asked students to start reflecting on what they were learning, how they were learning it, whether it made a difference to the way they started learning in general, and whether they could take those skills that they built into the next series of courses. So we started in semester 1 courses, and then we wanted to transfer those skills into semester 2 courses. So what we're doing essentially is building not only skills in teamwork, but also research practice skills, communication skills, skills that feed into the graduate attributes here at UNSW Australia. So coming back to what we've been doing of late, and that the project in which I'm sort of talking about is more based on the teamwork skill, and it's cross-disciplinary in that we've engaged many academics within the School of Medical Sciences, in particular academics that represent each of the disciplines offered through the Medical Sciences program at UNSW. So these include anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, pathology. And there's also generalist style courses offered in the early stages of the degree. So we've not only gone cross-disciplinary in the third year, but also program-wide, longitudinal, starting from first into second year, into third year, and into fourth year honours. So I started the process of engaging colleagues into the practice of ePortfolio use and implementation through coursework. The easiest place to start for a scientist is to attach the ePortfolio work to an assessment. So all the things I had learnt early on in terms of the course-based use of ePortfolio in years 2012, 2013 and a bit of 2014, we then implemented throughout the school in 2015. As part of that, as I mentioned, we engaged colleagues, and the colleagues were on board in terms of seeing where the ePortfolio could fit in their teaching practice and aligning the assessment tasks that used teamwork skills. So we sat as a group, we had a real research group that was formed. We had funding from the University of New South Wales. We had a learning and teaching innovation grant to do this. And what we did was implement ePortfolio practice for the students in all of our courses using WordPress. Now in the earlier years we went through the ePortfolio practice and reflection by using Mahara. Mahara was piloted in the medical sciences for about 2 to 3 years. But then we had an institutional change and we thought, how is this going to affect the way we do things? In fact, it didn't really. So the WordPress was really important. It was an important developmental stage for us, because all of a sudden, with the big group of academics starting to implement, it also meant a new change that could be done in a new way. So we used WordPress as a group, and we implemented throughout our courses, attached to specific assessment tasks that use teamwork. And we did this quite effectively by meeting regularly to talk about strategies in which to engage students in ePortfolio practice. And what we found with WordPress, we had the ability, or we now facilitated self-directed learning through ePortfolio. So although the Mahara platform was very good in that it started our behaviour and our thinking on ePortfolio practice as teachers in medical science, now we were going into a stage where it was a bit more open-ended with WordPress and ePortfolio use. So that was quite instrumental in the way we do things today. We've now implemented across 2 semesters, semester 1 and semester 2 of 2015, with WordPress. So we moved from Mahara to WordPress. We did this quite effortlessly, really, and the students now self-direct and have produced quite interesting portfolio reflections, and they engage quite regularly. They transfer those skills across other coursework, and they're able to think outside the box and reflect on their identity and the development of their thinking as medical science students and medical scientists about to progress into postgraduate studies and beyond. So not only postgraduate studies in dentistry and medicine, but also in places like research laboratories where they can do PhDs and honours and master's programs. Now, building those skills through reflection has been pretty important. So they build those skills by learning how to engage effectively with assessment tasks and going through the motions of doing the assessment task. But when I mean effectively, what I'm saying is that they now see a deeper understanding of why they would do an assessment task, to not only sort of tick the boxes and have done that task, but to build those extra deeper professional skills that are required for medical science practice, especially in the research world. So that's where ePortfolio has taken us. It's been very important and quite an interesting process in that we've been able to get together as a small research team now, or maybe not so small. There's 10 of us in terms of academic input. We're all specialists in our own right in terms of discipline, but now we're thinking in terms of professional skills practice as well. So it's changed the way we implement our assessment tasks and the way we're thinking about developing our own students. So in that regard, that's the way IT has strengthened our professional practice, not only as teachers of medical science, researchers in the discipline of medical science and within our own subdisciplines, but also being able to teach those skills and development of those skills to our undergraduates beyond the content of medical science, but more about the reflection of who they're about to be, and that's medical science students and graduates.